Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to my Wednesday afternoon Facebook Live. We get together, try to get together every Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Today, I am going to share a few projects that I have made using the Band Together stamp set and coordinating dies and the Forever Gold special laser cut specialty designer series paper that was part of the Forever Greenery suite. The paper is going to retire. The stamp set and dies are going to retire. They are still available, last I checked. So if these are of interest to you, you want to make sure you jump on my website and order those products. Anyway, enough about the sales pitch. Let's get to the fun because that's why we're all here. Sorry. I don't know why I get a frog every time I start talking. Anyway, let's change cameras here. Here's my work surface. So the card that I'm going to walk you through today is this one here. So in the laser cut paper, there's a whole bunch of beautiful leafy shapes. I used some of these in a project I did, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. And then there are some panels, 6 different patterns. This is one of them. There's leaves, there's more geometric shapes, different ones. And actually, I will say that I struggled with not quite sure what to do with those. And so I challenged myself to figure it out before this paper was retired and I couldn't use it anymore. So let's get into making this one. The ribbon that's in here is actually very vanilla ribbon that I have colored. It's retiring. This shape is from Best Bands. I use the rectangle stitched dies, or the stitched rectangle dies, to create this frame. It makes it a little bit bigger. And the designer series paper in here is actually from the Well Done suite. It's quite pretty. All right, so let's get at it. So in my kit here, oops. Try to put some of my tools in here too, so I don't lose everything. So we have a card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Just bear with me, please, because I want to double check my Facebook feed. And let's forget to go over and make sure that it is working. And then when I do that, then I can see your comments. All right, there we go. Oh, hello, Kelly. How are you today? Haven't seen you on live for a little bit. Okay, so the base, the base is, as I said, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. That's been burnished. I have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white that I'm going to put on the inside. I'll just set that aside for a moment. 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of black. And this is the designer series paper from the Well Done. That's Whale, WHALE. And it measures 4 by 5 1/4, and that's just going to get adhered on there like that. And then this is the stitch die that I'm going to cut this frame. It's 3.5 by 4 3/4, and I'm going to make a stitched frame out of that. And then this is the piece of paper from the foil Forever Gold laser cut specialty designers. It's a mouthful, and you could color it and turn it over if you wanted to color the other side, but I decided to stay with the golds and rich. And then I have a small piece of black here that I'm going to stamp on, and then I'm going to use one of the dies from the Band Together dies to create my label. And then there's a little surprise that I have for you later. So let us start. I want to actually, I need to do some cutting first. So let's start there. And I'm not 100% sure this will work on the little guy, so I'm going to bring in my big one. And if you can, whenever you're cutting, and I know I'm a little bit out of camera here, I don't have a huge space in order to stay in camera view, but whenever you can, when you're working with these larger rectangle or the thin, long dies, if you can put them through your machine on a bit of an angle, you will have less warping. Not that the warping hurts anything, but it just makes it a little easier. Okay, so let's cut this out. Put my So we have created this frame that we're going to use on this project. And then we have a stitched piece that we can save for later. When I actually created this project that I've already done, I saved the frame pieces from projects that we did a couple weeks ago so that I could use them again. So I haven't wasted a whole lot of paper. Now, also need to bring in my piece of black and my stamp from Bound Together and somewhere. And I have my embossing buddy, especially because I'm going to emboss on black, and my Versamark. Try and get that in the middle as best I can because I actually have a double purpose for what I'm doing with this. Actually, before I did all of this, I should have colored my ribbon, but we'll get this done and then we'll do the ribbon. So I used, speaking of the ribbon, I used the Very Vanilla gold edged ribbon that is also retiring. This is kind of the focus this week anyway. Demonstrators get to order a few select items starting tomorrow from the catalog, so you'll start seeing some new product pop up. But I want to share as much of the retiring product I can before it's gone. Here we go. It's all nice and shiny, then we know it's good. Okay, and then we will bring back in our die cut machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out of there. Just making sure it is totally melted. You know, I could use the little machine for this, but I'm not going to juggle two. The same with these ones because they tend to be kind of long. A bit of an angle always helps you get a better cut. Lay that down. So this is the label here that we're going to put on the front of our project. Let me get this machine out of the way so we're not so crowded. In my die brush. And it gives us this beautiful, beautiful die or elegant frame. And then if I had cut it full length, then I would have bands, which is where the Bound Together comes from, on either end that you could use to wrap around your card front or whatever. I'm not going to use those. I just want to get these bits out of here. And I think you're going to like what I do. Anyway, we want to save this one. We're going to use it, and I'll save, clean up my mess. Excuse me. So now we're going to put, nope, I said we were going to color the ribbon first. And this is going to make a big mess on my paper. So let me bring another piece. I'm using one of the alcohol markers in the Pretty Peacock, and Pretty Peacock is one of the colors, because it's an in color from 2 years ago, will be retiring. Most of the inks and cardstock are sold out, unfortunately. Oh, you do? That's awesome, Kelly. Yeah, I haven't used it as much as I should have. Anyway, on the sample, I used the dark. I'm going to try the light because I'm going on very vanilla to see if it makes any difference in the intensity of the color for this project. So we need enough to wrap around the card. And then we need enough to tie a bow. Yes, I think I'd like this. It's not quite as dark. Maybe I get frogs because I don't have anybody to talk to all day long. Just me and the dog. And he is enjoying this wonderful weather. He's outside sunning himself right now. He doesn't care what I'm doing. Okay, so this is going to get glued on here. So we want to make sure we have enough to go around. And it just takes a few moments to dry. I don't think that's quite enough for a bow. I'm pretty good, but that's still pretty little even for me. So we'll just add a couple more inches of colored ribbon. I just love that you can color the ribbon and you can have it in all of the Stampin' Up! Colors if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside for a moment and let it dry. And while that's happening, we'll start assembling things. So let's assemble this by gluing this on here. Oh, I didn't get my glue out. All right. Good thing everything's handy. So this is only an 1/8 of an inch smaller, so you've got a 1/16 of an inch border. And then we're going to build our layer here. So we have this frame that we built, and this is just slightly smaller. So what I'm going to do, this has been a little tricky. I'm going to put some dots of multi-purpose glue around the edge, trying not to make a mess. And we're going to go glue the die cut, the laser cut piece onto the back of this. It's slightly smaller. Oops. Well, that didn't work out very well at all. Let's see if I can pick this up with my tweezers. Hopefully I don't have glue on everything. Okay. And then I'm going to add some more, hoping this will stay adhered. You can add a few dots on some of the leaves if you want. That will help it hold it onto the paper that you're putting it on. Don't have to do it all over, just a little bit for stability. You also need to have a place to hang on. And we're going to, as best we can, center that on there. So we have framed that die cut piece out of the Forever Gold laser cut paper, just like that. And it looks like it's sticking fairly well. Just a little bit more weight to the frame than comes on the original. This is the original, so it's just such a delicate frame. I just think this gives it a little bit, makes a bigger statement. Okay. Confident that's dry enough. I will add my glue to the back of here. And then we're going to put that right on our card base. So very narrow border again. So as long as here in Alberta, Dr. Henshaw does, oh shoot, look what I did. I'm thinking ahead and not thinking about what I'm doing. I was going to say, as long as they don't impose any new restrictions. Stony Plains Farmers Market opens on Saturday, April 3rd, and I will be there. So if you're local, it'd be awesome if you'd come out and say hello. I would really appreciate that. Plus, I'm sure there'll be lots of great things to have a look at. It's Easter weekend. I'm sure the bakers will be there. A hot mess here today, Sheila. All right, let's see if we can get this wrapped around and glued straight. That would be awesome. 6. All right, finally success. Fairly straight anyway. This is actually just about done. It's quite simple. So here's our greeting that we did the gold embossing powder on the black from the center of that die cut. And we're going to add some dimensionals on the back of it. And I seem, because the black dimensionals come in a multi-pack, I always seem to run out of the big ones first. But that's okay. This will help me get my greeting going on either side of the ribbon instead of hanging on the ribbon that sometimes happens. Yeah, it's all about using up the retiring stuff while I can still share it with you. Not that I won't use it later, because I have tables at the markets. Those people don't care if stuff is retired or not. Okay, so this ribbon should be dry now. It gets a little stiff when you first color it, but if you just work it a little bit, that softens back up again. So let's tie a bow. Just not getting that loop the way I want it. It's just a little bigger. And then my center tie gets loose, and I don't like that either. Being fussy. And that's not too bad. All right, let's just trim this down. And we're just going to attach that with a glue dot. Okay, now our piece for the inside. So remember I said we were going to use this for later. So I'm going to actually put this on the inside of my card. But what I want to do is trim this little piece off right here so that it's like a frame. So just kind of follow the line that's there. And I'm going to put that on there like that. Now for the inside of this one, I'm going to wishing you a happy birthday, and I'm going to do that in Pretty Peacock. So I just kind of want to hold this where I think I want to stamp my greeting. Go. Let's close this up. Then what I'm going to do so that I can glue this on is bring in a silicone mat. I turned that upside down. I'm going to put a little bit of multi-purpose adhesive on here. And I have a quarter sponge that I like to use for this. And I'm just going to Maybe I didn't put quite enough. You have a bit of time. This multi-purpose stays tacky for a little bit. And I'm just going to frame my greeting inside like that. And we'll just glue that inside. That helps dress up the inside of our card a little bit. And then there was supposed to be a piece. Not sure where it went because it was there when I started. I saved the cutoff of the designer series paper. Oh. It landed on the floor when I emptied the envelope. There we go. So I'm just going to put that on the front of my envelope to dress up my envelope. And because it's cut, it's the 6 inches. I'm just going to add the adhesive to my envelope and then trim it. And there we go. So that was one that I did. There's actually 6 different patterns available in these die cuts in the laser paper. And I have 2 more to share with you. What did I do with them? They were right here. Oh, under my scrap paper. So this was one that I did, and I didn't put an extra frame around this one. I just glued it on a textured piece of black. So it's a black on black mat, and wrapped my gold ribbon around there and a gold leaf on the inside. So that was one. And then another one I did, I had a little bit of fun with. I made a shaker card. And this is also from the Band Together greeting. And I added one of the gold leafy elements, but I made a shaker card out of it. So I've got the frame, like I did in the card I demonstrated to you, this geometric rectangular die cut shape. And then I put a window sheet behind it. And then that's all glued on. I don't know if you can see the shimmer inside there, but on the outside here, I also embossed a piece of black that I used my blending brushes and applied some champagne mist all-purpose ink or paint on there, shimmer paint, to give it that all over look, and then just layered on the greeting. And then inside, this is also from the Band Together stamp set. So lots of fun there. There are, like I said, total of 6 different designs in these, and there's some ideas on how to use them. It's not hard to come up with ideas on how to use the different leaves and floral shapes that are coming in the set, but sometimes coming up with what to do with those is a little bit more difficult. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation. If there's anything I can get for you, please drop me a line at my email as on the screen, or order online and using that host code that's shown there. There'll be a little extra something from me to you for orders $60 and over. Remember, the retired list is out and it's while supplies last. And then after May 3rd, they'll no longer be available. So if you see something you like, make sure you get it ordered as soon as you can, because there's no guarantee it's going to be there forever. As I said before, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your support. Maybe I'll see you on Saturday. Stop by my table and say hello. I would agree. It would be great. Thank you, and have an amazing rest of your day. The weather is getting wonderful again for a couple of days, and we should have a wonderful long weekend. Thank you. Take care.